I go back into the pool and I just stayed underwater until I blacked out. I knew I can't go to the surface, so I guess I'm just going to stay under until I black out.
In this episode of Investors and Operators, I am chatting with Brandon Fix, who is a 51 Vets member. And here's why you need to pay attention, because in 4 years, Brandon has gone from leaving Wharton to now managing a $350 million P&L at a home services business. So this episode is for the private equity firms who want to learn about veteran talent like Brandon and the other 450 members that we have at 51 Vets, because they can be put into your portfolio in a variety of roles: GM, Chief of Staff, VP of Ops, BD roles, and then at the firm level and a variety of roles. This episode is also for the veterans out there who are curious about what does that track look like, not just in investment banking where Brandon was at, but also going into the portfolio companies. So let's just kind of give a very high level about Brandon's career. So Brandon, you did 7 years in the Air Force as a special tactics officer. Then you went to Wharton in 2020 through 2022. After Wharton, you did investment banking at William Blair in Charlotte for a little bit over a year and a half. And then, working at Vertex, the roofing platform backed by Alpine, and you started that in early 2024 to where you're at today with Reunity, which is a Greenbrier backed home services company. Let's actually kind of start with what is Reunity and what do you do, facts and figures, and then we'll kind of work backwards into it.
Um, yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm the or a division general manager at Renuity. We have a variety of products. We're a home services platform: windows, bath, kitchens, closets, garage door, storage systems, flooring, coatings, etc. I oversee our Northeast division as well as our East division. Um, so geographically speaking, my territory runs from Houston east and then all the way up the East Coast to Maine. Like you said, it's a $350 million P&L. I have sales, marketing, call center, ops, not directly reporting to me, but certainly working together closely, HR, accounting, FP&A, et cetera, all the other corporate enabling functions. And I'm having an absolute blast. It's the time of my life. About 1,000 employees. Um,
In
you know,
your two of the six divisions, you have around 1,000, and you said there were what, 3 or 4,000 nationwide?
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So, like, what do you actually do? Like, what do you do as a division GM in a given week?
That answer would vary wildly depending on who
What
on
do we
my
really
team
do
you
around
asked.
here?
Um, uh, I think like super high level, I am a partner, I am a connective tissue, I am a strategist, and ultimately I am an operator. I own the P&L. So anything involving marketing, sales, our operation execution, like that, all of that funnels up to me. I have a bunch of very seasoned VPs, directors, and senior directors across all these functions that I discussed. Our territory, being as large as it is, means that we have to figure out how to allocate resources, capital, people. How do we solve problems? How do we build a hierarchy of people to continue to grow and scale without putting too much pressure on any given section? I review KPIs, numbers, how well are we selling? How well are we converting our backlog? How strong is our NPS? And then we problem solve. We have a list of priorities that we go into any single year, any given quarter, and figure out how we rack and stack those priorities, and then how do we go, apply and execute and make sure those are all realized, so that we can generate a return for our sponsor, as well as deliver a phenomenal experience for our customers. It's
So,
everything. I mean, like there's
yeah,
a lot.
and um, let's let's then rewind to Vertex and then we can kind of tease out some of the different other aspects of the job. But like, what is Vertex where you're at for a little bit over a year and a half? Like, and how did that set you up to do this?
Um, I think the first is how did I get to Vertex? So I networked pretty extensively just as soon as I knew that I was going to be exiting the military and I had to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And it just so happened a connection of mine had talked with the CEO at the time, and he was looking for an operator to go run the Mid-Atlantic region. I think Alpine has had a very friendly hiring philosophy around vets that they really appreciate the people leadership skills. Home services is fundamentally a people leadership business, which is why I think we really excel in this. Any business model that's right people, place, and time, I think works. And I got really lucky that my CEO, like the values that they had, servant leadership, like really resonated with the things that I did in the military. So when I was hired, um, I want to say we had just closed or were about to close about a $9 million business, and that was just the start. So even though I oversaw,
Or
you
you
know,
were hired in around what, early 2024?
like January 2024, I think it was around that time frame. Started in
After doing a
February.
year and a half of banking at William Blair to get the banking skill set. And so it was really they're doing this $9 million or so acquisition, and that was really starting up the area that you would then lead.
Right. And then they had a pipeline of businesses that were following in tow, and so they quickly realized that they needed somebody to go run this. And I just got incredibly lucky that they took a shot on me. I think what I've come to find is that everybody in this industry like wants somebody with P&L experience already. And so if you don't already have that, it's tough to go get it. You sort of need to communicate like our background, like as a vet, you have to find ways to communicate something that seems inherently alien to everybody else to folks that understand business really well and connect the gap. Like it's not a competency thing, it's a capability thing. So yes,
Yeah.
there was a $9 million acquisition. There was a bunch in tow. I think they were feeling a little exposed, if I recall, like the way he framed it to me around like who was going to run it. And then they took a flyer on me, given my military background and Alpine's philosophy. And so I got placed in this Mid-Atlantic president role to go oversee this business to start. Had to source like hire general manager talent, and then was also responsible for following up on the pipeline and continuing to grow and scale
Yeah.
that
And what does
that
Vertex do
region.
again?
We're primary roofing is
Okay.
like the core product. Some gutters, but mostly residential roofing. And over the 2 years that I was there, we launched greenfields. We implemented new CRMs. We overhauled their entire marketing. We overhauled their entire sales process. We overhauled their entire ops process. We instituted um, made lots of promotions. There were instances of turnarounds. I mean, it was wild. It was super fun. I think anytime you have a platform of businesses that just all grew up organically, completely distinct and independent of one another, trying to smash them together is extremely challenging. And it was a gauntlet, but the people
Yeah.
there are amazing, and I had a blast doing it. Learned a lot. Launched a call center, introduced AI into a call center. Um, I mean, like pretty much by the time I left, I think the businesses looked like, completely different than what we got them out of the box.
Investors and Operators is the podcast of 51 Labs, a full service digital marketing agency that focuses on private equity firms, the portfolio companies, and others in the M&A market. We handle everything from branding to video to websites, LinkedIn content, and everywhere in between. We've done over 150 projects since 2019, and usually we do a lot of work with emerging managers, so funds 1 through 3, independent sponsors, but also funded private equity firms. Reach out, happy to help out. The obvious question that a lot of people have is how did you and others in 51 Vets who have pretty similar story who are in these roles go from Wharton MBA to 4 years later managing a $350 million P&L? You have now been at enough you've had enough exposure to not just your story, but others to get these data points on why vets with your background are able to succeed in these P&L roles with no P&L experience. Like, why not just hire from within at various roles? Like, what is it about your guys' background that allows you to succeed to be president or GM when you don't have 10, 15 years of P&L experience or just being in business?
Because I have 15 years of leadership experience. Like P&L experience is fundamentally a proxy for that. The only difference is the instead of the mission, be it counterinsurgency, counterterrorism, the mission is in fact a profit incentive. And so it just takes recalibration of your worldview and your mental models at which you go and run people to go deliver that. And I think I remember at the time when I was interviewing uh, this question came up like pretty much over and over again. I was like, well, okay, well, for my investment banking, for my MBA, like I can read a P&L. Like I can break down all these numbers and all that other stuff. I think like what you guys care about is like, what do I go do with it? And like when I look at a P&L, especially in this home services space, like here's my mental model. Like I don't think these line items here, they're not just numbers, like they're people. So if I start at the top of the funnel, like marketing, okay, well that's just intel. Like intel tells us where the mission is. I have had intelligence people that work for me and produce reports or insights or whatever. They tell us where to go. They tell us like how to get there. They help us prep. Then there's sales. Those are like your special operators. Like they're the first there. They go in like and they open the doors and enable us to go execute. They have the follow-on like conventional forces that do the install. Those are your crews, your field managers, your production managers. Like it's a pretty big operation. We're talking construction usually of some form, or certainly the trades. They come in behind that. So now, like where I'm at sales, I'm at revenue, I'm at COGS, I'm at gross profit. I already talked about marketing because it's top of the funnel, but really that's in between gross profit and contribution profit. And then now we're down just the OPEX, which is like accounting, administrators, like some of your back end folks. And like we all have that too in the military. Like we have to deal with a whole bunch of really complex variables in a resource constrained environment, contested environment with an enemy where communication is incredibly narrowed relative to what we have here. Like you're talking radios, and so you have to be concise and short and maximum value per word, and like none of those barriers really apply here. And but I can think about it the same way, and so I can break down the whole P&L in terms of leading and coaching people. And in my experience, the special operations community specifically has had the best leaders on our planet. I certainly feel that way. I think I am who I am today because I got to exposure to those people, and that's the secret sauce. Like the rest of it can be learned. Like the trade can be learned. The math, like that can be learned. The hardest part is the execution, like getting people to get up and like go do something to the best of their ability, same day, in and out. And I think that's our superpower.
So, um, w- what were the biggest challenges in the first 6 to 12 months when you were the Mid-Atlantic president for Vertex and you first had that P&L responsibility? Like, what were the biggest gaps in your skill set that you really had to overcome?
Sales. Yeah, this is an easy one. Um, it's sales by far. Not that not that we're inherently bad at sales. Like there's a concept here. There's a gap in like the concepts that don't translate well from the military into this space in a way that I don't think is true for ops, and I don't think is true for like day-to-day management. Uh, to sell requires a process. It's a very unique individual. These are commission only folks, at least in most of the spaces and across home services. Psyche really matters. On one hand, I think we are extremely and uniquely suited to lead this organization. On the other hand, I think like us vets having a guaranteed paycheck for so long, like it's like a hard leap for us to make to go from that to a commission only environment to fully appreciate what these folks do and go through. And you have to plug this gap by going on ride-alongs and attending training. I think when I started, I didn't fully appreciate that. I'm very used to leading things that I don't understand, especially as an officer. I'm used to relying on the counsel of folks that are subordinate to me across a variety of functions who have been doing this for a long time. Like any junior officer, like that's something you have to get comfortable with really, really quickly. And so when I showed up, that's basically how I approached it. I was like, I remember the first time I talked with a really seasoned, crusty old roofer. He asked me like, "How long have you been in roofing?" And I said, "This is day two. How long have you been in roofing?" And he was like, "I've been doing this for 17 years. How are you going to do this?" And I was like, "Well, I have 17 years of roofing experience because I have you, presumably, right? Like, so as long as like you and I stay together, like, and I'm pressure testing what we execute against your experience, and we should be just fine." And he looked and he said, "Yeah, okay, I buy that." The thing is, that works, and it did work. Like we hit budget, we had a great year, but we didn't smash it out of the park because I don't think I've fundamentally understood like what it meant to be a sales rep. It took me a while to get there. I had to make a lot of mistakes. I had to realize like standards you have to set really, really high. You have to follow up like pretty routinely. Leadership in those positions more than any other matter absolutely like crazy. So you have to be ruthless around like who you put into those roles and how you talent manage, because like the leader of a team in that sales environment can make or break the whole thing.
And what do you mean
It's
sales environment? Like at Vertex, and it's probably gonna be analogous to other home services platforms. Like, how do those teams typically break down? You have like sales marketing team and how many crews? Like, how'd that team break down? And how many people were you managing at Vertex?
I think my collective sales force was probably like 60 to 80 of that.
Okay.
And so every single market would have a sales manager, and then under them they would have a team. If the team started to get, I think one of my locations was pushing to 12 reps, and that starts to strain. Like you're starting to really push the limits of what a sales manager can oversee, and then you index a second. Um, their jobs are to go do ride-alongs, coach, train, performance manage. Really help them go affect a sale. And so I guess like sales is incredibly psychological. If you don't believe in the product, if you don't believe in the price you're selling it at, if you don't believe in the install quality, or if you don't know how to sell, you don't know how to use the process and like stay to it very rigorously, you're going to go astray and you're not going to close. And then you're not going to, like, as soon as you stop closing, you're going to get progressively less confident and you'll start to spiral. And eventually, like, you'll be moved out. Like, it's a high attrition field. So you need to build a lot of infrastructure, like people infrastructure, coaching infrastructure to prop these folks up. So that as they like start to, if they fall or they like, go, they have a little bit of a hot streak, you can catch them, get their confidence back on track, get their fluency in the process of what they're going to say again in the home, how they're going to deliver the materials, and then send them back on the street so they can start making money. Um, like to put it another way, like when we hire like a brand new person off the street who's never been in sales before, it's a race against time. Like you are effectively trying to get them to the point where they can sell faster than they lose money because
Yep.
it's a commission only environment. That urgency there, like in that psyche there, like that part uniquely is new for vets.
Going back to the transition to Reunity, that platform was, directionally 4 times bigger than where you were at. What were the gaps that you had to fill with that next skill set to manage, from call it 150 people to 1,000 people and 4 times the P&L? Like, what was the next skill set that you had to develop? And I know you've been there for, just over about 9 months or so. But, like, walk us through that.
Uh, I mean, first, I think the two were very different spaces, but language was very different. The org structure is very different. Vertex had general Alpine in general has general managers at the local office brand level, and Renuity doesn't have any of that. Um, I only started with one division and then assumed oversight of a second about 4.5 months into this. So I think I've only been in charge of the E since April. But really leading at leading at the level that I was leading there, it's not too dissimilar from leading here. If anything, it's just like the level of the people that directly support to me are also they're elevated. Like my vice president of sales in the Northeast at Collins is amazing, and he has been used to leading 13 states worth of folks. Like he's had that experience before. So it's not like I'm starting from scratch or I have to go rebuild this. I mean, I got really lucky that I just had really phenomenal people in most instances. In the areas where I didn't have people that I thought were capable of leading at this scale and growing, I had to make some really tough decisions.
Yeah.
Um, but for the most part, I felt out of the box, like I was able to pick it up pretty quickly. I learned a ton at Vertex. The biggest gaps for me were largely the product was completely different. So all like to the extent you could call it expertise that I garnered while I was at Vertex, I had to go relearn all that. The corporate hierarchy was like very different. Like which resources, who do I go for what? That was very different. And then the scale of the markets, like I can't travel to every single office, so I have to make sure that like my leaders are all the right people, and I have to be like pretty much Johnny on the spot with respect to talent management. And I knew if I could do those things and like close the gap on those things, like I'd be fine.
Yeah. So let's let's talk about the pathway, and this is more for the vets. The pathway from going from Wharton MBA to banking to operating a company. Um, in retrospect, are you glad that you took that route? I mean, I did banking for 6 years, and it was absolutely amazing. You learn about so many different industries, um, but it's fundamentally a different skill set. So, looking back, what is your advice for the other vets who want to get to this type of role, operating companies? Should they rethink going through banking or just go straight to like a lot of our 51 Vest members just go straight from MBA to an operating company?
That answer is so hard. That question's so hard to answer. Because I can't like my answer flip-flops. On one hand, 80% of the skills that I index in this job that make me good at it, I garnered from the military. And like, I think I could have done the Vertex job coming right out of the military. I would have had to learn some of these business concepts, in more real time. But I think for the most part, the people leadership side of things like just so overwhelmingly matters more than like can you intricately understand what's going on in the P&L. Like there's accounting resources and FP&A resources that exist that can help get you there. The leadership part, like that's the gap. Like that's usually the gap. That's usually the hard one to solve for that we tend to have. So on one hand, like I'm the happiest I've ever been. So like I wish I could have just gone right into this, and then I would have had ample more experience um, in this space. Uh, on the
Do you
other hand,
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
um, on the other hand, I think like business school and investment banking like did do a lot to make me like a competent uh, business operator. Like I can speak accounting. Like I I was an accounting TA in my second year of Wharton. I can speak the language with FP&A really, really well. That's because I had to build really, really complicated 40 tab, interlinked financial models, and be able to strip down business to a part like its parts and figure out how dollars flow through all that. It's just that like there was also 80% of investment banking that didn't necessarily apply. Um, and so like when for example, so Vertex, I think I was employee 16 or something at the corporate level. We were out of a WeWork when we first started. We had accounting. We didn't
We're
really
called
have
platform, not just your division.
correct. And when I first started, you're talking, we didn't do the CRM overhaul yet. So I was literally downloading trial balance data myself out of the CRMs that my businesses had and mapping that myself because I had that skill set. Like, and I only had that skill set because of what I spent in banking. So that was super useful for me. Like, it gave me a tool in my belt that I'm not like not many else had unless they came from the same background that I did.
Okay,
Um,
but how and I've kind of had this discussion about if you did not do a little bit over a year and a half at William Blair in investment banking at a fantastic firm, would you have gotten the level of role at Vertex in the time that you did?
Right. So that's yeah, and so that's where I flip. Like on one so like where I was going with this is like within a year we had FP&A and then I didn't need to do any of this anymore. It had no bearing on how good or competent my job was. And so the value of the investment banking piece like started to fall off pretty materially. On the other on the other hand, I think like the experience that came from going to Wharton and came from being an investment banker, like yeah, I think that matters when I show up to employers, especially private equity backed ones, because again, I can speak the language with them. I think that is very, very hard to overcome. Uh, it's not necessarily like the way the world should be. I think it's probably the way the world is, and why I say like the question's kind of tough for me to answer. Fundamentally, I would say I don't believe it has anything to do with competency. I think some of the operators that come out of special operations are the best leaders in the world and probably the most suited human beings on the planet to run businesses exactly like this. Communicating that is extremely challenging if you don't know the language at all and you don't know how to break down and cut a business. And I think the best way you get that communication skill set is by going into an industry like investment banking. But I wouldn't say it's like a requirement to actually execute the job. It's just a requirement to communicate to future employers that you are capable of executing the job.
Yeah.
And hopefully that nuance makes sense.
It's a heuristic of, "Oh, you're at Blair in Charlotte? Cool, got it. I know your background."
Right.
And
Yeah, exactly.
and, it's just that communication gap has to be overcome if you did not have that background, even if you do go to Wharton or something like that. Um, when let's talk about 51 Vets, and, you and I have known each other since 2019 back in the Elite Meet days, but I'm just kinda curious, like, how has 51 Vets helped you throughout your career?
Oh man. I think I have an incredible network of people that have given me more advice, coaching, counsel, be it the sponsors and the mentors of the organization or just the peers. You know, you referenced Sean Dowling earlier. He's a very close friend. Like we talk, we're in very similar careers at this point. That's been immensely powerful. Talent I've hired out of 51 Pets pretty routinely. It's been a big lever for my own success is being able to place folks from 51 Vets in my companies. Because pretty much as soon as I do that, like I already know, okay, these are the gaps I'm gonna have to close depending on the experience level, and they're gonna take it from there and be absolutely off to the races. Um, it's been phenomenal. But yeah, those are easily the biggest things.
Back to some of the misconceptions that employers and you'll kind of say it within the private equity universe and maybe the executives at some of these companies, like, what are some of the misconceptions about vets from your background, um, that we can kind of, work through in order to be able to do this job?
Misconceptions about the background to do this job.
Yeah. Does
I
it
mean, I
just come
think,
down to P&L?
yeah. I think so. Like and I understand it. Like I very, very much understand it. Like handing a P&L over to somebody like that's like for that specific P&L, that's arguably the most important decision you make. And so giving it to somebody who has zero experience running a P&L feels very like uneasy and uncomfortable. But folks from 51 Vets, like the background being special operations, like these are some of the most um, highly selected, like highly vetted group of individuals on the planet who have been under some of the most rigorous leadership challenges you could possibly imagine. If you have the right resources, the right coaching, and the right mentorship, and if you understand that, like, okay, on the financial aspect, we probably need to work down, like break down some of these numbers. Hey, COGS went up. Like, let's go ask the question why. Gross margin went down. Let's go ask the question why. If you can get them there, they will pick it up really fast. But what they can do better than probably anybody on the planet is lead a team and be cool, calm, confident, collected, put together a plan, write a process, or design your structure, and then ultimately execute, because that's what special operations optimizes for. Like, it optimizes for folks that can go execute some of the craziest, most complex missions that you could possibly imagine. So handling like a home services business, it's like I need to get roofing materials from point A to point B. Like, I need people to show up, right people, place, and time. Like, I mean, we're uniquely suited to do that. This is very simple compared to what we came from. Doesn't mean it's easy. Just saying it's simpler.
What mistakes did you make in your transition?
That's a good question. I think I did pretty well in my transition. I think part of the reason why I did so well in my transition is because I had so many people to reach out to. Like, I was absolutely relentless in trying to find people to tell me all the things that I was going to do wrong before I actually did them wrong. Uh, like Elite Meat and getting connected with you, and then eventually 51 Vets. Like, that was hands down one of the best things. When I was coming out, I didn't initially consider business school. But you find a vet who can be a mentor, who encourages you to apply and like gives you the reason why, and then you find organizations like this who start to open up the doors for, like, these are the types of career paths that are out there. I mean, I was looking at like arbitrary sales jobs, and yeah, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I was looking at like wealth planning, and like whatever was on Indeed. I couldn't put two and two together. But I got told to network uh, religiously. I got told to go find organizations, and I got told to go pursue an MBA, to go buy myself some time to see what was out there. Um, I guess if I could do it all over again, I would find myself in the exact situation that we're talking about, which is like, if I could change anything at all, and I wouldn't say this is a mistake, but I would love to find a way, an entry point into this space, like right out of the gate. I had an absolute blast at Warren, and I made some friends for life there. I would never like want to undo that. And I would also be completely happy if I came right out of the military straight into home services, because I'm having the time of my life. Like, Renuity is like, probably like right now where I'm at feels amazing. I get to work with phenomenal people. I love what we do. I love the value we provide to our customers. Um, and I could be so much better at this if I started earlier. Like, that's what I think is, I just every day I want to try to get better. And like, the only regret I had is I didn't find it earlier. But to your point, don't know that I could have gotten to it earlier. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
but
w-
maybe.
yeah, no, let's shift over just to the 7 years you're active. Like, I've never asked you about that. Like, first off, like, why'd you even get into the Air Force? Like, why'd you enlist? And just kind of walk me through your experience.
So I went to undergrad with the intention of going to medical school and becoming a military doctor. And I ran into, I think when I was going through basic training, so I was an ROTC, I ran into a special tactics officer and a Green Beret at school, and they both had a similar message, which I wanted to go to medical school because I wanted to give back, that those gave the most. And then they both told me, like, you don't need to be a doctor to do that. You should be a leader, uh, servant leader, like servant leadership. I mean, it was the first time I'd ever heard this concept. I've come to realize it can be kind of a cliche in the private sector, but it's like a core part of the ethos in special operations. And then they also told me, we think you can do this, and so you should try, because there's not many who can. And so if you can, like, and you're willing and already want to go in the military, you should give it a shot. Uh, and the Air Force had has this career field called pararescue and combat rescue officers, which I think are now just special tactics officers. I think it's all one and the same these days. Um, but their whole mission is rescue and medicine. And so I thought, well, like this is the perfect intersection of, this special operations thing and like, this servant leadership idea and like giving back to like that group of people and then like the medicine side of things. So I'll go chase that. Come to find out that the officers don't actually learn any of the medicine stuff. Um, and I'm an inherently a very offense minded person, not much of a defensively minded person. So I decided to go pursue being a special tactics officer versus a combat rescue officer. Like I wanted to be on the offense, and I figured, someday down the road, thereafter, I can go pursue medical school if I wanted to. Um,
So when did
so I
you?
joined.
Yeah, go ahead.
So after basic training, I trained incredibly. I went down to a selection. I was not selected. Uh, I really struggled in the pool. The pool is we do this underwater confidence training because we all have to go through combat dive, which is an extremely demanding program. You have to hold your breath underwater for quite a while. It was completely new to me. Never experienced it before. Pretty much almost quit. They told me like you can't do this. Like you have to quit, or sorry, you can't quit. You have to do this. And I said, okay, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And they said, that's fine. You just can't quit. And I said, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to quit. I go back into the pool, and I just stayed underwater until I blacked out because I was so hypoxic, like I couldn't figure out. But I was like, I knew I can't go to the surface, so I guess I'm just going to stay under until I black out.
You drown myself.
Was Yeah, that's basically what happened. So I just blacked out. They pulled me out, and that was pretty much the end of the iteration. I made it all the way through selection, which is probably one of the most heinous things I'd ever been through, easily by far. And then they told me I wasn't selected, um, because because of like that one instance. But they invited me
Told me not
back.
to give up. I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, but they invited me back though because of what I did immediately afterwards. Like when I was wavering and like struggling, and then I was like, all right, screw it. I guess I'll just like just stay down there. Um, they're like, all right, well, we think you can do it. Like you're really raw, but like we think you can come back. So I came back and I passed every single event, and then they gave it to me. But it was heinous. It was just as hard the second time as it was the first. Then I
What's
did 2 years in training. Hmm?
what's the selection process like? I know very little about that versus, what, Buds is all over YouTube and TV, et cetera. But like, what's the pipeline like? What's the general training like?
I mean, I can only speak to what it was. My understanding has changed pretty dramatically since, but I think in effect, like they're all more or less the same. Like there's always some sort of selection element, which is effectively just intensity, sleep deprivation, lack of food, um, intense amounts of PT, like pain, really just pushing you to your limits. I mean, like the whole point of selection is to see like do you have what it takes. They measured this actually. They tried to figure out like how do we go select upward on the funnel, who can get through. They found it's basically impossible to do that. The thing that correlated them highest to getting through that was this idea called self-efficacy. Do you believe that you will get through it? They measured the beginning, the middle, and the end. And like those that said pretty much the entire time that they had the utmost confidence that they can get through were the ones who in fact got through. And that where that's pretty unique is like the only reason why you can't go measure that in advance is because you basically have to break somebody. Like you have to break them. Like you get to a point where you feel mentally crippled. I mean, like it is so hard that they're going to get you to the point where you just fingernail claw your way through it. And in that moment, if you are still telling yourself and you can still say, like, yeah, I'm going to do this, like those are the people that'll make it. And that had a way higher correlation than physical fitness, speed, athleticism, IQ, like that one thing. So there's always some sort of selection component because like that's the real enabling, like that's the differentiator for special operations, like that right there. Like there's plenty of folks all across the military that are extremely athletic, extremely capable, but like that is unique. Like that one thing is unique. Um, then you go through you go through air traffic control school. So like in the Air Force, we're all air ground integration. Uh, you go through your basic infantry, shoot, move, communicate type stuff, survival training, airborne training, advanced tactics, combat dive, free fall. I mean, you do like pretty much all the skill sets, and it's always about a 2 year period. Demolitions, things like that.
And
Then you
and
graduate.
after you so when did you go to your team?
So I graduated training 2015,
Yeah.
and then you go to a team.
And what were deployments like, and how long were you doing that?
Deployed. So we had a cycle. It was 6 months on. So every period was about 6 months. So you deploy for 6 months, then you'd come back, and then there's 3 cycles of 6 months, and then you would redeploy it again. And I did that for about 4 years, just over and over again. Uh, I was I was sort of weird. I pretty much exclusively deployed to the Africa theater. So I've been to Tunisia, Burkina Faso, Niger, like all over northwestern Africa. Oversaw folks in Eastern Africa. I mean, I've been to all of like lots of places all over Africa. Largely running counterinsurgency operations against Boko Haram, Al Shabaab, ISGS, reconnaissance operations, uh, partner force operations, trying to work and train them to better improve their air ground integration. I got to work with three-letter agencies. That was really fun, really interesting. Uh, I got to work with the State Department. I was briefing ambassadors. I mean, it was such a alien experience to think back to. And then you would come back from deployment and you would train. The first 6 months, those were all individual skills. Then you move into team skills for the second one. And then the last one was like your full mission profile type where you're running, like as close to deployment exercises as you can. Um, and then in the environment that you would be operating in, desert, mountains, like et cetera.
When you look back on that 7 plus years, like what do you look what are you most fond of those 7 years? Like, what are you gonna remember the most?
People. Um, I mean, I love the shoot, move, communicate stuff, like jumping out of airplanes, going scuba diving. There's 100% times there where I was just like, I can't believe this is my job. There were also times where I was like, I can't believe this is my job. Like, why did I choose this? So I got a little bit of both. Um, but by far it was the people. I mean, uh, there was such a devotion to each other. It's so hard to replicate that. Um, yeah, I think I lost teammates. That were killed in action. Like that dynamic, it's not there's nothing else like it. Like nobody knows what it's like to be like that close to one another and just have that much faith and trust in the people on your team. Um, I will always remember that fondly. And then just something about wearing the uniform and wearing the flag and like every day I showed up and it was entirely in service of something like much greater than myself. And I still feel that is true very much today at Renuity. You just obviously you can't replace that with what you do in the military or
Yeah.
in the military and special operations.
What what does servant leadership mean to you?
I work for those that work for me and not the other way around. I mean, like fundamentally, I view my job is to make them better at theirs. I remove obstacles, I advocate, I politic on their behalf, I help them problem solve, coach, train. I don't view it as like it's not their job to make my life easier. I exist to make theirs easier. If I can go enable them to be the best versions of themselves, and that's all I did, like my organization is going to smash it. And that has only ever rewarded me. Like it has only ever rewarded me to just put my people before myself, like every single time. Um, that's
Have
what
you ever
servant
had
leadership means.
a difficult scenario when you're like, oh, this is what it means to put others before. And like, this is painful, or you just had it trained into you. It was just second nature.
Um, in the private sector, no, I've never had that scenario ever. Or it's never been hard. Like it's a no-brainer decision 10 times out of 10 for me. And I think only because in the military I certainly had those, like in training. I was trained and mentored and raised by a whole bunch of really, really incredible non-commissioned officers, NCOs, like staff sergeants, tech sergeants, master sergeants, um, who like really shaped and refined me into the officer that I became. I got to work for some really incredible special tactics officers who also did that same thing. Um, like the quiet professional. That's sort of the like the unspoken mantra about special operations. Like be humble, be humble, uh, be be a servant leader. Like that. That is the job. Like that is just understood. Like that is the job. There is nothing else. Like that is what you do. And so for me here, like there is no other question. Like if it's between me or somebody else, like I'm always gonna go that way and put them first. Like my job is to serve them.
I love it. All right. Well, we covered a lot of ground and air in this. Um, so
Nice.
yeah, I tried to. I try.
Well done.
Um, well, man, it makes me so happy just to see the career that you've taken. And, I've, feel fortunate I've been able to know you throughout that. And so thanks for coming on and sharing this story. It's important for the private equity firms to see this and everyone on their employer base for 51 vets and for the other vets who are interested about the career that you have had. So thanks a lot for coming on doing this.
No, thank you. I mean, it's incredible. Like I think you've watched me go through all this, so and see where I've gone today. I have a lot. I have a lot I owe you. So thank you. You're a servant leader. So I appreciate everything that you and 51 Vets do for me, for everybody else. It's incredible.
All right, man. And for those who are interested, reach out to us at 51vets.org. Reach out to me or our executive director, Maggie. Talk to you later.